asshole! Up here!
What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be continuing the Nightmare on Elm Street review series, and we are at the crossroads between the Elm Street franchise and the Friday the 13th franchise, as we're going to be talking about Freddy versus Jason. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the crossover battle between two of horror's biggest icons. Basically, the development of this film started in the late 80s as Paramount trying to see about doing some kind of crossover with Freddy Krueger, and New Line at the time were like, we don't see the need to do that with our character. We're good over here. And they were, as the box office numbers were showing it in the late 80s, especially with the release of Dream Master. So Paramount was desperate, man. They were desperate, trying to just bring that box office success to their franchise with Friday the 13th, because Jason taking on a Carrie ripoff in Part 7, The New Blood, it didn't cut it. And then we get Jason Takes Manhattan, and that was a dumpster fire in itself. So this movie was in development hell over a decade, and we finally got it. And when Freddy vs. Jason hit the big screens in 2003, it made a killer at the box office. It was the highest grossing film in each franchise, still is to this day. You know, the early 2000s had that grunge metal aesthetic, that grunge metal look to it. So director Ronnie Yu, who you may know from directing Bride of Chucky, his approach to this film was comic book meets new metal. And that's what you get. It's over the top, it's quick, and to the point. This movie feels like a pro wrestling match between two of the biggest horror movie icons of all time. And it pays off big time, man. So let's get into it. As far as what I like about Freddy versus Jason, you get what you come for with this movie. Freddy versus Jason definitely delivers on the battle. Basically, the whole premise of this movie is Freddy's using Jason to reunite the fear amongst the teenagers on Elm Street, because everybody has forgotten about Freddy. So he uses Jason to stir up a little trouble and make teenagers fear him again. Problem is, Jason gets too carried away with killing everybody and taking away from Freddy's spotlight a little bit, and Freddy gets jealous and he wants revenge on Jason. And so Freddy versus Jason is here. But yeah, man, they deliver big time on the battles. They kick each other's asses here. You know, Freddy has an advantage in one battle in the dream world and Jason's nightmare. And then in the real world, Jason, I'm sorry, I know people like to debate on who won this matchup or whatever. Jason definitely won. Even though Freddy winks at the camera in the end of the movie, Jason kicks his ass. Freddy gets some good licks in, especially on the dock when he has the machete, cuts off Jason's fingers when he catches the machete and starts wailing on Jason, and then finger knives to jab Jason in the eye. Yeah, he gets his ass kicked by Jason. No doubt about that. No doubt. And sticking with Freddy Krueger, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final time that Robert Englund donned the iconic fedora, the red and green sweater, and the glove, which is unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but he goes out with a bang. This version of Freddy Krueger, to me, it's up there with Dream Warriors a little bit. I did say in my previous review that the look of Freddy in New Nightmare is my favorite look, and I stand by that. But here, the makeup's pretty good. You know, it looks better than Part 5 and 6 combined. He just looks so evil in this movie. And then you get that one scene on the dock in Laurie's nightmare, our final girl in this movie, quote unquote. You know, she's on the dock, and then Freddy shoots out of the water and he lands on the dock. And you get that image of that brief scene of Freddy with the pointed ears and the sharp teeth. And he just looks so demonic. That look for Freddy too, man. Just the underrated look of his. And even if it's like a few seconds, it's still great. But yeah, this performance by Robert Englund, with this being his last time playing Freddy Krueger for a feature film, I'm gonna say that, for a feature film. I know he was in the episode of the Goldbergs. Honestly, I ain't never heard of this show until they said Robert Englund is Freddy again, and I had to see that. But for a feature film, this is Robert Englund's final time. And he did a good job. He did a fantastic job. He set the bar for this character, man. That's why in the next movie, it's just, it don't work with Jackie Earle Haley. Because Robert Englund set the bar here, and Jackie Earle Haley, in my opinion, was somewhere in between. But no one can match the shoes and match the performance of Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. This movie has some good kills. If you love kills, if you love gore, this movie delivers on that as well. Like the bedroom kill when Jason kills boyfriend guy, Trey, that's his name. I think that's his name. But when Jason kills Trey, man, kills him with the machete, stabs him, and then drives the machete in the floor and folds the bed up. Need I say more? The rave scene in the cornfield. Jason appears out of nowhere. He slices and dices his way through the teenagers. Jason killing Trey's friend. I don't know his name. I forgot the name of the guy, but his dad is outside and he's just sitting still. He touches his dad and the head falls off or whatever, and Jason appears. And we don't see the kill, but it's very apparent that he dies too. This movie delivers on the kills. If you love kills, that's what you go to your horror movies for. This movie delivers. And finally, the soundtrack. Even though I'm not a metal guy per se, that's not my genre of music I listen to frequently. Yeah, the soundtrack is still great. You know, you are a heavy metal head. You grew up in this era, and you love just metal music. This movie delivers on it too, because it's throughout the whole movie, and it just pumps you up, and it makes you just excited to see what's about to go down between these two horror legends. As far as when I'm on the fence about Freddy versus Jason, Ken Kirzinger's version of Jason it's kind of a mixed bag for me personally, because I would like to see what this movie would have been like if Kane Hodder was Jason in this movie. Kane Hodder was Jason in the previous 4 films in the franchise. They just wanted somebody new, and so Ken Kirzinger was cast as Jason. And he does a good job. He's definitely Jason in size. You know, he's Jason Voorhees, no doubt. To me, he's like the stereotype of Jason. This version of Jason is probably what people think about. Most people think about. You know, casual horror fans or just non-horror fans. When they think of Jason Voorhees, they think of this version of Jason. And when I think of Jason, I think about Part 4 and Part 7. Those are my 2 favorite Jason looks and performances. We're going to talk more about that in my Friday the 13th review series. Just go ahead and say it. The next series I probably do, it will be Friday the 13th because of this one movie right here. But, you know, Ken Kirzinger is fine. You know, he may move a little slow and not bring that ferocity that Kane Hodder brought to the character. You know, that's why I wanted Kane Hodder, because of those movements he gave the character. It's not present here. But it's fine. Fine performance overall. It's decent. Whether it was Ken Kirzinger or Kane Hodder, still Jason Voorhees. Not a big issue. Freddy has 1 kill in this movie. I see why he was mad, man, because 1 kill, Jason taking all of it from Freddy, from my boy Freddy. But yeah, Freddy has 1 kill overall in this entire movie, which may be disappointing for the Nightmare on Elm Street fans. You got to balance the aura between Freddy and Jason, but you can't give Jason all the kills. Now you got to give some to Freddy now, but the 1 kill he does have in this movie is memorable. The death of Mark starts with Mark trying to take his pill in the bathroom and falls down the drain, tries to get it, too late, falls asleep. Little snakes and things start to form by his feet or whatever, and then his dead brother, who did an unspeakable act upon himself, appears in the bathtub full of blood, and you know, it's Freddy obviously taunting him. Laurie and Will arrive trying to save Mark, and basically they see Mark on fire in the real world. And towards the end of Mark's death, Freddy slices his face with his glove, and you know, then shot of Mark against the wall, and the words Freddy's back is on his back burnt into his skin. That was a cool shot, cool sequence. But as a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, personally, I could have used more Freddy kills here, but the one he gets, it's fine. Also, to piggyback off that, if you are a Friday the 13th fan, then this movie may feel more like a Nightmare on Elm Street film rather than a Friday the 13th film. Now, there are moments here, especially in the opening, when Jason's resurrected again, you know, and you can get the opening shot of Pamela Voorhees morphing into Freddy, and basically encouraging him to get up and remind them, Jason, of who you are or whatever. That section of the movie feels like Friday the 13th. But throughout the film, you know, you get more Freddy stuff, especially between Freddy and Laurie. It just takes away from that Friday the 13th-esque feeling that you would get in those movies. But they had to sacrifice. They had to balance, okay, who is going to be the prominent figure here in this section of the movie. He's going to be the prominent figure in this section of the movie. So I get it, you know, you got to balance things out, but this feels like more of a Freddy movie than a Jason movie. It feels like a Nightmare on Elm Street film with Jason, featuring Jason. And finally, some of the dialogue here, some of the dialogue, man, y'all, this movie would be a topic on Twitter these days because it would probably get canceled, especially the line that Kelly Rowland says to Freddy Krueger.
What kind of runs around in a Christmas sweater?
It may be offensive to some people today. Some things the characters do here and talk about here also may rub people the wrong way as well. But again, just the time and the era this movie was released in. As far as what I didn't like about Freddy vs. Jason, when Freddy and Jason are on screen, for me personally, this movie loses my interest. The characters here are nothing to write home about. They're just here to get killed, basically. They're just here for eye candy and to get killed. Just typical slasher movie teenagers here. Even the final girl here, Lori, who is cute as hell, but she's just bland. Like I said, part of the eye candy category here. All these characters here, somewhat memorable to me, but again, they don't add anything. And this is another nitpick of mine, something I don't like. And I know the writers of Freddy vs. Jason, this movie, they have addressed this already, but the idea of Jason being afraid of water, stupid, very stupid. If you watch those original Friday the 13th films, you know as well as I do, Jason swims. Jason's not afraid of water. He swam in part 6 when Tommy was taunting him. He swam in part 7. In part 8, Jason got on a boat headed to New York. Jason swam in those previous Paramount films. It doesn't make any sense for him to be afraid. And then you get that scene in Jason's Nightmare when Freddy just makes water appear in front of Jason and Jason stops dead in his tracks. Just that whole sequence it's cool how it's shot. Everything's green or whatever, and Freddy's being an asshole, but it just doesn't make any sense because Jason's not afraid of water, you know. But the writers have addressed it. They didn't come up with this idea. It was, I guess, the studio or whatever. Somebody threw that in there. But Jason being afraid of water, dumb. It's dumb. But ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts and opinions about Freddy vs. Jason. Let me know what you think about this showdown between these icons. Is this movie one of your favorites? You love this movie. You come back to this movie frequently. I do. I dig this movie. It's not perfect by any means, you know, but the Freddy vs. Jason parts of this movie deliver big time. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this movie. Like, comment, and subscribe, and also hype this video up. By the way, YouTube rolled out some new algorithm thing, so hype this movie up, hype this video up as I'm trying to finish this franchise with the remake and also add more to this channel in the future. But until next time, guys, I'm Bran. Thanks for watching. Peace.